inside job exposed, shocking truth behind New Orleans jailbreak. Hey everyone, welcome back to True Crime Stories. What you're about to hear isn't a movie plot, it's real. In the dead of night, 10 inmates vanished from a New Orleans jail without a trace. Some of them were accused of the most violent crimes imaginable, yet they slipped through the cracks of a system that was supposed to contain them. How did it happen? Who helped them? And why did it take over 8 hours for anyone to notice they were gone? Tonight, we dive into one of the most shocking jailbreaks in recent US history, a coordinated escape involving tampered plumbing, a massive security lapse, and, allegedly, a prison employee on the inside. With the public still at risk, and some fugitives still at large, this case is far from over. Grab your seat, because this one's going to shake your faith in prison security as we know it. In the early hours of May 16, 2025, chaos erupted at the Orleans Parish Correctional Center in New Orleans. 10 inmates, many of them facing serious charges such as second-degree murder and attempted murder, successfully escaped from the facility, sending shockwaves across Louisiana and beyond. What unfolded wasn't just a simple breakout. It was a calculated and carefully executed plan, involving help from inside, and maybe outside too. Security footage, later released by law enforcement, showed inmates yanking on a secured door just after midnight. Within minutes, they had broken it open. Some inmates casually walked by at first, but eventually joined in, helping pry it open. Once inside, they removed a toilet and slipped through a hole in the wall, a hole that had allegedly been exposed by shutting off the water supply. That detail would become crucial. Investigators later discovered that Sterling Williams, a 33-year-old maintenance worker at the facility, had turned off the water under instruction from an inmate. But instead of reporting the request, he allegedly complied, an action that allowed the escapees to move the plumbing fixture and slip through the wall. Williams is now facing 10 counts of being a principal to escape, and an additional charge of malfeasance in office. He is being held in a separate parish jail. The prisoners who escaped were not petty criminals. Among them were men like Derek Groves, already convicted of a double homicide during Mardi Gras in 2018. Corey Boyd, charged with shooting a man trying to stop a car burglary, and Lenton Van Buren, awaiting trial for a 2021 murder. 4 out of the 10 inmates were facing charges related to homicide. The danger was real, and the community's fear was palpable. Even more disturbing than the breakout itself was the delay in response. Despite the escape occurring shortly after midnight, authorities didn't realize the inmates were missing until 8:30 a.m., a staggering 8.5-hour head start for individuals with every reason to disappear. The sheriff admitted that the staff member assigned to monitor the overnight security footage had left the room for a snack. That absence allowed the inmates to dig, plan, and vanish unnoticed. Upon discovering the escape, deputies found parting messages on the wall, scrawled in graffiti. "Too easy, LOL," and a taunting smiley face. A crude joke to them, but a humiliating revelation of the jail's vulnerabilities. The hole behind the removed toilet had apparently been a long-standing issue. Defective infrastructure, understaffing, and lax procedures had all created a perfect storm. Law enforcement swiftly mobilized across multiple states. The FBI, ATF, and local agencies launched a coordinated manhunt. Rewards of up to $10,000 were offered for information leading to the capture of the remaining fugitives. Some inmates, like Kendall Miles and Robert Moody, were quickly apprehended, but not before changing into street clothes, suggesting assistance from outside accomplices. Miles was captured walking through the French Quarter, just a few miles from the jail. Surveillance footage from Project NOLA, which runs facial recognition-enabled cameras across the city, played a vital role in his capture. Moody, also arrested nearby, was already out of his prison uniform when found. Police believe others may have received similar help, raising questions about how deep the conspiracy goes. As more fugitives were recaptured, authorities uncovered that many hadn't traveled far. Some were hiding in vacant houses or sticking to familiar areas. Yet, despite the proximity, the concern remains high. The longer the others stay free, the more dangerous they become. Not only are they desperate, but they are running out of resources, and desperate men do desperate things. The scandal surrounding the jailbreak has ignited a political firestorm in New Orleans. The sheriff is under intense scrutiny, with critics demanding her resignation. She has blamed inadequate funding, staffing shortages, and failing infrastructure. But that hasn't quieted the outrage. Louisiana's governor has ordered an audit of the jail and stated that all Department of Corrections inmates will be relocated to state-run facilities. The situation also raises legal questions about inmate classification. Why were such high-risk individuals held in a facility with known deficiencies? Why hadn't repairs been prioritized if the same plumbing issue had existed for months? Some corrections experts point to a culture of blame and underinvestment that plagues local jails across the U.S. Justin Piperny, a prison consultant and former inmate, described the escape as predictable. He pointed out that inmates often study guard routines, wait for vulnerable moments, and communicate through hidden networks. In his words, the escape was not a miracle. It was the result of institutional failure and complacency. Even more alarming, he warned, is that some prisoners will now be seen as heroes inside the system, admired by others for pulling off what seemed impossible. Meanwhile, the families of victims connected to these inmates are living in fear. Some have gone into hiding, afraid of being targeted. District attorney staff have reportedly taken their families out of New Orleans for safety. The community's trust in its correctional system has been deeply shaken. As of now, several fugitives remain at large. Law enforcement is asking for the public's help and encouraging anyone with knowledge to come forward. The hope is that with time, pressure, and community support, the rest of the escapees will be brought back to face justice. But one thing is clear. This wasn't just a jailbreak. It was a glaring alarm bell, a sign that something is fundamentally broken. From broken locks to broken protocols, from careless staffing to criminal inside help, this case exposes everything that can go wrong when accountability takes a backseat. Until that changes, the next headline might just be about the next breakout, and the next community left scrambling to pick up the pieces. This wasn't just a jailbreak, it was a wake-up call. What happened in New Orleans reveals a terrifying truth. When internal systems fail, the consequences spill into the streets. 10 inmates, some accused of the most violent crimes imaginable, simply vanished into the night, helped by someone who was supposed to keep them locked inside. And while several have been caught, others remain at large. The questions linger. How did this happen? Who else helped? And will the sheriff and the system be held accountable? Thank you for watching. If stories like this matter to you, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. What do you think should happen next? Should the sheriff resign? Should jails like this be overhauled? Your voice matters. Stay informed. Stay aware. And as always, we'll see you in the next True Crime Breakdown.